What's up, guys? I just picked up this new protective case from NANUK, and I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get all my gear in here. So I figured it would be the perfect opportunity to show you how I get ready for shoots and what's gonna go in my camera bag. So first off, I just want to say this video is not sponsored by NANUK. I'm not getting paid by them or anything. To make this video, I actually paid full price for the case. I'm just making this video because I think that it's worth every dollar, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to show you how I get packed up for a shoot. All right, so before I even take it out of the box, why did I choose this case in particular? Well, first of all, NANUK is a trusted brand in the industry, probably the biggest one other than maybe Pelican off the top of my head. Otherwise, this size in particular, the 938, right? Where's the 938? This is the 935. So why did I choose the 935? Well, I believe it's the biggest size that can be carried onto an airplane. Depending on your airline, obviously, you might want to check that first, but it also has wheels and an extendable handle and the ability to lock it. So it's fully protective. So even if you do need to check it, it's really an ideal case for if you need to travel with any serious equipment. All right, first things first, let's get this bad boy out of the box. There it is. It's kind of bigger than I thought it would be. I think that's a good thing. More value. All right, so first impressions, straight out of the box, this thing is built like an absolute tank. And it also comes with a lifetime warranty, so you can be sure it's gonna last you for a really long time, which is actually why I decided to go with the dividers instead of the foam insert, because I wanted something that could adapt and change as my gear changes, so I don't have to buy a new foam insert down the line. Also, it says on the box that it's waterproof, but not something I plan on testing. So if any of you guys know or have tested for yourselves, let me know. All right, one more thing before we get to gear, which is probably why most of you, assuming there's more than one of you watching it, clicked on this video. All right, so for every shoot, I have a pre-shoot checklist that I go through to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. You would think that after enough time, you wouldn't forget the same things over and over again, but I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten my tripod plate or something because it was left on another camera. So it's a good idea to have one. Feel free to download mine. And that's basically what I'm gonna be going through today. So let's get into it. All right, so the first few things I'll do, and this is usually the night before the shoot, is I'll make sure my batteries for everything are charged, including extra batteries. I'll make sure my memory cards are formatted and I have lots of space for whatever I'm shooting. And the last thing I'll do is I'll make sure my camera settings are all as I like them to be and I'm not accidentally shooting JPEG or something, unless that's your thing, in which case you need serious help. If you shoot JPEG, shoot RAW. Then I'll double check my call sheet so I'm not accidentally sending models to the wrong side of town, which I have definitely done before. Then I'll look at my mood board and get some last minute inspiration for whatever the shoot is. Even though I actually don't really like to add too much to the mood board or change it at this point, because knowing myself, that can quickly spiral out of control and turn a simple project into something that's super overcomplicated. So it's like, no, stay focused. You have a concept, get it done and move on. So usually at this point, I've already developed a concept and try my best to stick with it. All right, so day of the shoot is finally here and it's time to pack my gear. So I'll usually just run through this checklist and make sure I have everything I need in my bag. But since this is a brand new case, I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get my gear in here. So I was previously using this low pro camera backpack, which became a little bit unpractical for like studio shoots and bigger productions where I need more gear, but still an ideal pack for more like mobile shoots. So unfortunately, some of the gear that I would usually put in this case is unavailable right now, either because I'm using it to film this or some other reason. So I'll just show you some other B-roll of that stuff. I should also note that this isn't the exact kit that I'm gonna bring with me to every shoot, but it's sort of my basic kit and I'll adjust it depending on the needs of the project. All right, so most importantly, starting with the camera, I shoot on a Canon R5 and I usually keep that attached to my Canon 24-70 f2.8, and that's the lens that I use for most things, what I'm using to film this video right now. So next up in the case, I've got a couple of lenses. The choice of lens really depends on the project. So for a beauty shoot, I almost always bring the Canon 100mm macro because it allows you to get nice and close. For portraits, I almost always use the Canon Art Series 85mm, or if I'm shooting more video, I usually throw a 16-35 in there. And then of course there's the workhorse 24-70 lens. For some things like events, weddings, landscapes, I like to have a little bit more focal length, so I'll bring a 70-200 as well. So right next to my camera, I've got this little Peak Design pouch, which carries some really great accessories. So the one that I use most frequently is the Peak Design camera clip, and this allows you to clip your camera to a belt or a backpack strap or anything that you might be able to attach this to. Also in here, I have the Peak Design wrist strap, which attaches to the camera with the same system as the Peak Design neck strap, which I currently have on my camera. So moving on to lighting, if I'm doing any kind of photo shoot, I usually bring a couple of these Godox speed lights with me. So even if I'm planning on doing more of a natural light shoot, I like to bring a couple of these with me in case I need to add a little bit of fill or pops of light into the photo. This is generally the only lighting that I'll bring in this case because any of the larger flashes or LEDs are carried in their own separate cases. So relating to the speed lights, for events, I'll usually carry this Gary Fong light dome with me, and this just pops out like this and attaches to the speed light so that you can get a little bit more of like a softer diffused light when you're not shooting in a space where you can bounce, which is usually my preference. But yeah, this is a great solution for when you're sort of in a pinch and you need to spread light in a small space. Also for more like studio stuff, or also for events, any situation where I want to shoot off camera flash, I have these Godox triggers, which one of them is a transmitter and one of them is a receiver for if I'm ever using a non-Godox light, I can still trigger it from the same trigger. So I picked up this little phone clamp a couple of years ago, and it actually turned out to be a really handy thing to just throw in my case. So I'll just mount it on a light stand or a tripod or something if I ever want to capture some behind the scenes on my phone. And the final thing that I carry relating to the speed lights is just these little mounts to attach them to a light stand. So next up, I've got my charger and extra batteries, as well as my memory card wallet filled with cards. Here we've got the GoPro with charger and extra batteries, as well as a few mounting accessories. And for audio, I've got the Rode Video Go, which is a really easy way to step up the audio quality for a lot of different video situations. So next I'll take out this Velcro divider to make room for my variable ND filter, a tether cable by Tether Tools, and this SSD drive that I use for dumping photos. And last but not least, I've got a couple of clamps. It seems unnecessary, but you never know when these are going to come in handy. So that's just about it for gear. If it's a morning shoot, I usually like to get this stuff done the night before so that I'm not scrambling in the morning and I can just grab my stuff and go. Again, this is by no means all my gear or the gear that I bring to every shoot. It does vary depending on the project, and a lot of my gear is bigger and has its own case, like my Ronin and a lot of my lighting. But I hope it was enough to give you an idea of how I get ready for shoots and how I pack up my gear. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you got some useful information. I'm going to be making some videos coming up about camera bags and how photographers can best travel with their gear to keep it safe. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.